Morning guys, we're rated 720. We're going to carry on with the Dumminion speed run with a focus on nasty, aggressive chessing. And of course that means starting with 1e4. Okay, we have knight f3 and we have a Petrov. Okay, so my normal response to this is just to go into 3 knights. I don't want to learn anything else. Okay, so now this is more of a perk. Now I don't have a double pawn sacrifice here, which is what I normally like to do against this kind of Philidor structure. So we're going to have to make it up as we go along. So a bit on the quiet side. Obviously he's blocked in this bishop. Hey Sashi. My first instinct is to develop the bishop to c4. Then I can play d3 if I want to. Can I play d4 straight away and just try and open things up? No, let's just build up. Right, this pawn is attacked and defended. That's all that matters. I'm developing my pieces. Okay, we've got all 4 knights out onto the board. Okay, d3, castles, maybe bishop g5, maybe bishop e3. Opponent is Renzu 0908. Okay, now here comes an instructive point. Can I take this knight? Now, if I had my bishop here, then taking this knight would be a blunder because takes and then the pawn attacks both. Well, in fact, the bishop could take in that case. But very often you can fall into this trap of having 2 knights and a bishop. And if you take with this knight and pawn takes, you can end up with that. It's very common. But here, if knight takes knight, pawn takes knight. So he's doubled his pawns on the d file, and the e file has become semi-open, right? Takes, takes. I can then flip this knight round to here to be part of a future attack, maybe against g7. I'm going to do it because I will then have the move c2 to c3 as well. In fact, I'm attacking the pawn right now. So what's he going to do? He's going to do c5, yeah. But you see, I now have this. I could play that immediately and try and contest this pawn. Then I get 3 pawns on these 3 files where he's only got the 2. I can also just castle here. I can also develop bishop g5. And this bishop's become even less happy now. It's definitely only going to e7 now. So I do this. He's going to play this move anyway. So you have to say to yourself, well, what's been gained with bishop g5? Let's just castle the king. And I've got a feeling that this move that he's kind of been forced to play is going to prove weakening. That's a funny one. And I'm immediately starting to look at this idea. Trying to develop the bishop first, threaten to take the knight. I could also have his bishop coming out now, but I do have f3 if I need it. I feel like my opponent hasn't really erred yet. Okay, now I'm just going to take the knight, right? Because I know that damaging the pawns when my king is safe and his king is still in the middle of the board, this is good for me. I'm working my way to an advantageous ending, basically. f4 is also a move here. I'm thinking already about knight f4, knight d5. Not sure why he's thinking now. You have to retake the bishop. So I want to get this knight further down his neck. The knight's not very strong where it is at the back of the board. It's not really needed for defensive duties. So question, do I want my knight to come here or here? I really like this, targeting this pawn here. I can also centralize my rook, but let's move the knight first. Oh, hang on. If I move the knight, he's got this, which attacks my bishop and a discovery on the knight. And no, because I can move the bishop with check and then win the pawn. I've got bishop b4, b5 check. Even if he blocks, takes, knight takes pawn here, defended by my own pawn. So I actually win a pawn that way. It's important not to stop thinking, right? So a lot of us would have played that and then gone, oh no, the tactic, I resign. You know, I'm going to lose material. Well, you're not. Okay, now this, surely, because I'm threatening to take on f6 with a royal fork, attacking both king and queen. I've got queen f3. Okay, defends. From this position as well, we're looking at c7. I'd love to play that. I can't play it now because queen can just... Oh! Okay, this is good. Bishop b5 pins the queen on the king. Queen takes, the queen undefends the c7 square. Right? That I think is better than this move. Why? So this is my first idea. a4 to prepare b5. Bishop b5. Well, a4, he can do this. Right? And then I no longer have that move. But with this, it's immediate pressure. So it's the preferable move. And that is a fork on the king and the queen. And you resign now. Very instructive game. It might even give me a double exclam for that one. Excellent. Excellent. Well played, though. So my opponent played really well there for a time. So what I propose to do now is that we go through the game again, just looking at... We'll have the eval on, right? I won't have lines on for now. So when you finish a game, try and go through it yourself and try and answer to your own satisfaction, why was that game won and lost? Okay? So, let us begin. So here, I think the normal move is to take. But then you get into shenanigans and, you know, I just don't understand the Petrov enough. I haven't looked at it. Because I kind of... excuse me. Got past 7 in the morning. Gah. Yeah, I'd much rather just keep life simple, right? And it says it's even here already, actually. Black is already equalized. This move makes perfect sense. And with this move, it's like my opponent is already announcing, I am a steady, solid, conservative player. So I just develop. Knight out is apparently not the best move here. It's gone from 0.5 to 0.1 now for white, which is interesting. I mean, it's a very natural move. Maybe knight d7 might have been better. I'm not sure. This is okay. His weakness, you see, is this dark squared bishop. I play d3 and it doesn't like it at all. Should have gone straight for d4. Try to open things up aggressively. That is kind of the point. Right, so I now take here. It's gone slightly in white's favour now, and I flip my knight around. See, this knight ended up winning the game. And he's come from here. He's gone 1, 2. Okay, so we'll track that horse on this journey. Okay, it's 1 again. White is effectively 1 pawn up now. Castles, still 1, right? So this is move 8, right? We're not blowing our opponent off the board. And as the speedrun progresses, we're not going to be able to blow opponents off the board. It's a matter of just building. I think something I'm really working on at the minute in my game is patience, knowing when it's time to swing a punch and when it's time to guard. And this is weak. And I thought it was a surprising move. It's still only 1.4, so it's not wildly imbalanced. I developed my bishop. Kicks, and this was poor because now it's gone to nearly 3 in white's favour. Because the problem is this, I think, right? There we take. He takes back. And here's the issue. He's not got the king safe. Okay? And this all comes back really to this move, right? To this. Why? Why put the knight in the middle of the board and engage the enemy so early, right? Now, if you can do it if there's a tactical opportunity there. There is not a tactical opportunity. He could have played this. Pinned my knight first and then gone in and attacked. Right? Bringing your knights into these two squares is a very valid move. You see it a lot. Right? I play it a lot in the Vienna. But I think this is premature. Yeah. And the reason is because after takes. Okay, where's your king? He's in the middle of the board, right? Why have you opened up the e-file? I have not opened up the e-file for myself. Right? His e-pawn has now become a second d-pawn. Okay? My knight swings around, attacking his pawn now, and now he's forced to do this. So he's now got clunky pawns here. He can't push that one forward, really. He kind of can. So I castle. Queen here. Again, so he's not developed his minor pieces and he's not castled. I think below 1000, you really just need to focus on get your minor pieces out and castle. This bishop, by the way, bishops can linger a bit longer. Okay, out he comes now. And this is just a bad idea. Because black's saying, I dare you. And I'm like, accepted. Because now look at your pawns. 1 pawn island, 2 pawn islands, right? And then this one's all technically a 3rd pawn island because they're all, technically they can defend each other, right? But these two can never be defended and nobody defends him. That's the problem. So now he is in a losing position already. So in comes the knight. I'm improving my knight. I'm making it stronger by moving up the board. We've only got 2 minor pieces each, right? My bishop is developed. My knight is technically developed and is developing itself more, targeting a central square. Right? He moves his queen a second time. Why? In comes the horse. Now there's a very obvious tactical opportunity and threat for black from black's perspective, which he sees. But the other thing that he's done as well is by moving his queen around, he's created an alignment issue here. And then, I considered this as an idea, but then I realized that these 2 squares. Now, so this is a pattern. 4 squares in a diagonal, knight forkable, right? That's the point. And then, very nice tactic to win the game. Okay, let's have a quick look at the review. See what I could have done better. Because there were, I would say, a couple of inaccuracies there. According to 94.3. And we did get a brilliant for the bishop sack. Okay. So, inaccuracies. Book. Okay, so look here already. So I was a bit confused about this. Why knight c6? Inaccurate. But it's saying, get there, get your stupid king castled. Right, even though the queen is then completely concreted in. Okay, it's saying be more aggressive, Hunty. Go straight for f7. So this is the issue. It's because I've got my bishop in the Italian position, right? Looking down at f7, and I've got my knight out already. I'm only a hop and a skip from capturing on f7, which is why the computer at this point wanted him to go like there, right? Now we're castled. Now the rook defends that, and even if the knight comes in here, okay? So let's say this, and now it's not actually good to attack there, right? The best move here is knight back to f3, distinctly. This is minus 1.4. Takes, takes, takes. Black is actually better. That's the point. So it's the vulnerability, and this goes back all the way to here, right? Black failed to prioritize castling. That is the problem. All right, so if there's one if you're sub 1000, there's one takeaway from this game. Get your king to safety, right? Here, I should have gone straight in because there is an opportunity. Because after this move, black is 1-2 moves away from castling. Okay. Now, if I'd have gone straight in, too late, right? So instead of this move, if I'd have gone here and black had just thought, oh, I'd better start castling now, too late. I fork the queen and the rook. Yeah. So that was a miss for me from spying the attacking opportunity. I was just going like with principles. So yeah, principles are great, except when they're not. And that is the key to growth at chess. Okay, so you can see here, knight in there. It's saying it's a good move, but it's not the best. Okay, go back to the review. Wow, knight to here. This is an interesting move, and this is one that, you know, not a lot of beginners will see. The fact that the bishop really only has these two squares. Okay, this one's guarded by a knight, this one's guarded by a pawn. Okay, so here the point is this bishop is so strong on this diagonal, because remember that square G8 is where you want the king to go, right? This bishop is so strong it is worth spending 1, 2, 3 knight moves to wipe it off the board. Okay, if I go back to b3, knight takes b3 or c6, right? You can just wipe out the bishop and you're absolutely fine as black here. A takes, black is doing all right. Okay, so that's not what happened. What happened is I pushed d3, he comes in, and here we trade off. Best move, because he's now broken his pawns. He has to take back, which is why it's the best move. Spin my knight around, that's the best move. Okay, perfectly good, he's defending. Wow, even better though. d5 here. If I take, then c5, and if I take en passant, white is still good. White is still better. Yeah, that's not looking fantastic. So I'm not quite sure about d5 from here. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, so I castle, best move, right? Slowly building. Queen there is okay. What should he have done? See? There's a reason. And this is, the computer is not prejudiced, by the way. The computer isn't thinking in terms of, oh, that's principled or unprincipled. The computer just all it knows is brute force calculation. And it's saying, no, the best of all possible worlds is to get your king castled. That's your best option. That's a decent move. A4 would have been good. And that's a mistake. Right, this is the beginning of the end now, really, for black. Great move, only good move on the board. Mess up his pawns, real good. In comes the horse. Obvious move. In comes the horse. Ooh, queen there. Queen here now. What's that then? Not quite sure of the threat there. When attacking this pawn, it's defended twice. But I centralised the knight instead. Perfectly good. Excellent, in fact. And then after this, wow, there's one outstanding move on the board, and we found it. Bishop b5. Seeing that that square and this square are in that configuration, and we have a knight. So we play it. It gives us a brilliant, and it wins a queen, and bang, and game over. But there you go, 14 moves. So I was starting to say that, you know, we're not aiming to blow our opponent off the board, and then we blew our opponent off the board. But we did it with good, solid principled play, and you can see that it was Black's just loose grip on the principles of the opening phase of the game that cost him in the end. Yeah, blow him off the board. Sounds pretty good to me. And that's how you win games at the against the 620 level player. So, hope you picked up one or two things from that. I certainly enjoyed myself. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.